Joining us is Don Siegelman, former Alabama governor and a former inmate. Don, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I hope everyone is safe.
Thank you. Well, first, you recently published a new book detailing your firsthand experience inside Alabama prisons. Could you tell us about that book?
Well, yeah, the book, Stealing Our Democracy, is not so much about me, although, well, it is about me, but it's more about how we can protect our democracy from both prosecutorial abuse of power and presidential abuse of power. But while I was in prison, we were stacked 3 high, not bunks 2 high, but 3 high. We were so close that you could reach out and touch the other bunk next to you. There was no space. There was only one door going in, one door going out, no windows. Showers were communal, soap was communal, urinals were just inches apart. It was impossible to socially distance. And so there's no wonder that this COVID-19 is spreading so rapidly through prisons throughout the country. And it's interesting to me that Bill Barr on April the 3rd declared that inmates who are not a threat to public safety, who are nonviolent, should be released. Well, if they are safe to be released now, it raises the question of why are they in prison now? So hopefully out of this creativity that is coming from entrepreneurs during this period of sequestration, of quarantine, that also will give some thought to new ways to look at how we treat prisoners and who actually needs to go to prison and who doesn't. It's a huge tax bill that citizens pick up, upward of $185 billion a year, $185 billion a year of taxpayers' money. So if we can let some people out of prison without them being a risk to public safety, perhaps we need prison reform as well as entrepreneurial reform.
Don, let me ask you this. We've watched as Alabama's prisons demand reform, yet we've not seen very much progress so far. What do you think needs to be done?
Well, where I'm focusing in my book is on reforming the system that puts people in prison in the first place. Prosecutors get 99% of the indictments they seek. 97% of people who are indicted plead guilty and end up in prison for long stretches of time. The problem is in the indictment process, where it's conducted in secret. There's no judge or jury. There's no lawyer for the defense or for the target. So there's no opportunity to question the prosecutors when they want to put on evidence or withhold evidence. In civil depositions, prosecutors or defense lawyers have an opportunity to object to evidence or testimony, and a magistrate decides. So in a case where civil damages are at stake, we provide that safeguard, but where someone's liberty is at stake, it's my contention we should still provide an opportunity for a lawyer to be present, to object to false testimony or evidence, and to offer other evidence that might tend to free the defendant or clarify things for the grand jury. So I think with that simple reform, we can reduce the number of people who end up going to prison and reduce the cost on taxpayers.
Okay, now we expect prison procurement plans to be released this Friday. What are you expecting? What are you hoping to see?
I understand the question. I have absolutely no idea or inside information on what the governor might present. But what I do know is that if it is safe now for nonviolent inmates who are not a threat to public safety to be released, then they ought to be released. And that is both a protection for taxpayers, and it gives these inmates an opportunity to be at home with their children and their wives, their husbands, and carry on kind of a normal life. If they're not a threat to public safety, if they're nonviolent offenders, then they really have no business being in prison in the first place.
I understand. All right. Don Siegelman, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you.